Hello, this is Edwin from Twin, and today I'm here with my updated Dauntless Drive Dragon DOTE deck. Basically, since the release of BT10 and BT12, I switched some cards around to make it a bit more viable in the new meta. Yeah, I haven't played this deck that much at locals, but it's my own deck right now, so it's not my friends anymore. Basically, the idea was that I was buying for Dauntless Drive DOTE, for Dauntless Drive at the qualifier, but I ended up borrowing my friend's deck because he had it completed and he didn't want to play it at the qualifier himself. So yeah, thumbs up for him, right? So yeah, for the starter, still using Conroe. Yeah, most broken starter. Forerunner ability. If you ride another Kagura unit, goes back to rearguard. Then in your turn, you can counter +1, retire this card, and search your deck for any grade 1 Kagura card and put it into your hand. Still very good, right? So yeah, why switch it around? Then for the trigger lineup, it's still exactly the same. 4 heal, 6 crit, and 6 draw. Only reason that I'm not running random crits anymore because these are the flash deck TARs, which I like having in my deck. And I switched the draw triggers with the Seal Dragon one. If I ever need a 3k, I can still use it, I guess. But yeah. So the abilities of the Great Zeros are, well, this. It's a sort of Kinara ability, call to rearguard, put it into your soul and counter +1. You can retire any Great Zero of your opponent's side of the field. And this one is a bit of a Margot ability. Call it to rearguard and you can put it into soul and give a unit 3k power. So yeah. Like I said in the other video, you really need the draw power in this deck. And since you still need the crit pressure with Dauntless Drive, that's why you're running 6 crit. Because if you don't have the crit pressure and they say no guard to the first attack, yeah, and you don't get the crit, you're screwed. So that's why. Next for the grade 1 lineup, still 4 shield, hit, block high numbers like Combat Buster, your opponent's not a Scythe Dode, I guess, Nebula Lord, that's why you need 4 Porphyguards. And since you can search it out with Conroe, it's even better, so yeah, you're always guaranteed to have at least one in your hand. Then, for Bar, 8k. Most archetype decks do not run any 8ks anymore, so yeah, if you ride the early game, you can still 10k no pass. But the thing that's nice about this is that they can also not rush you with the generic, with their own normal 7ks. So yeah, very nice card to have early game as your ride, and also 8k booster makes hitting good rows good. I mean good, easy. And for Corduroy and for 2 Iron Tool, I dropped the Chimnaros because basically retiring 1 for 1 isn't that viable, or at least not that efficient anymore, because Gold Paladins easily replace their stuff by randomly culling from the top deck. Yeah, so you're minusing 1 yourself and they easily replace it. Not that good, right? Corduroy makes getting rid of your draw triggers a bit easier, and yeah, hand filtering if you're great stuck, always good, right? So yeah, it's effective if your opponent has a grade 2 rearguard or Vanguard, you can drop 1 card, draw 1 card. Basically like Airmo, but instead of having to hit, you can just call it to rearguard. Also it's 7k, which is a bit better. And 2 Iron Tail. Yeah, I'm not running Airmo because I don't like 6k boosters, and the fact that there are crossfires out right there, this one makes for a bit better booster. So sometimes if you need to hit 18k, you can still use this card. Sometimes if you have Burning Horn at front and DOTE as Vanguard, you can counter +2 and make this a 9k and hit for 21k against 11k Vanguards. So this card has a lot more viability than let's say Airmo. That's why I run this one instead. You could run Airmo instead of this one if you like, but I like Iron Tail more. Next for the grade 2 lineup, I run 3 Burning Horn, 3 Berserk, and 5 10ks. I might run 4 Burning Horn instead of 5 10ks, but I'm liking this so far. 5 10ks, basically more defensive. If early game they have a 9k and 5k booster, 10k no pass. Yeah, that's the only reason we're running 10ks, and also they can hit any rearguard unless they're 11k, which is very rare. So yeah, 3 Burning Horn because you're not having DOTE as your Vanguard all the time. But if you do, it is a 12k attacker, which is very nice and can always hit 11k Vanguards, making 18k raise also easier to make, and you can still do the stuff with Iron Tail like I said earlier, making 21k rows. 3 Berserk because I'm not running any Chimeras, so retiring Berserk is very good. The only thing you retire with Berserk are the essential boosters, which means that stuff that can hit you for high numbers or decent numbers, you're not going to retire every grade 1 you see, because a lot of times they can easily replace it. I don't recommend that they're like retiring random grade 1s just because you can. And early game they're very good. Early game a lot of decks do not have an easy way of getting grade 1s out, and if they don't draw anymore, they don't have any boosters, so yeah, very good. Late game I might not use it, but sometimes getting rid of interceptors also helps during your end game finish. So yeah, that's why 3 Berserk. It's basically like you can use this effect, but you don't have to. That's why it's nice. And next for the grade 3 lineup, Seal for DOTE and for Dauntless Drive. Yeah, for Dauntless Drive because yeah, you still want this restanding ability. You can always Dauntless over Dauntless or write DOTE over Dauntless. Depending on your hand, I would either recommend doing Dauntless over Dauntless or DOTE over Dauntless. Dauntless over Dauntless is good if you have a decent hand size. If you have like 8 cards in hand and your opponent's at 4 damage, it's better to do Dauntless over Dauntless than DOTE over Dauntless, because then next turn you can do it again. But if you cannot do it and you have to go for the final turn, I recommend doing DOTE over Dauntless. And if you know if your opponent can block anyway. Yeah, so Dauntless Drive ability, if you break right, you gain 10k power, and the restand ability, which means if you attack the Vanguard, you can drop 3 cards and restand again. It doesn't have the requirements like Descendant does, and it also gives 10k power, which is nice. It is less situational, but the problem is that it's a break right. Yeah, and also if you have more riggers than your opponent, you gain 2k when you attack, but most of the time you have either full field or he has more. So yeah, it's not a lot of times that it happens, but maybe early game it has. And Overlord the end, yeah, basically the other effects do not matter because I'm not running Draconic Overlord. But this effect is if the attacks hits when it attacks, only if it's the Vanguard circle, you can cut this to a restand to Persona Blast. It's more of a pressure card than actually, because sometimes I've hit with this card and I got ultimate shit, like very crap, like no triggers at all, and even the grade 3 extra. But yeah, it's more like, let's say they're at 4 damage and they have to guard anyway, but if it does restand and you get a crit somewhere, they're not gonna be able to guard, or they're gonna have to drop a lot of cards. So that's why it's more of a pressure card. Like the restanding can give you a huge advantage, which is why people are scared of this card. It's not like this card will give you a huge advantage, but it's a +1 though. If you do restand, you drop 1 card and you get 2 cards in your turn. So yeah, and then Dutch Fin Drive, which is very nice. So yeah, this is basically my new updated Dauntless Drive DOTE deck. If you guys like our videos, please subscribe and like our videos, and see you guys at the next video. Later.